Hey everyone, it's Carly and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a spoiler review on The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So if you're here and you're probably wanting to see a non-spoiler review, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I need to get my emotions out about this book, okay? So if you want to see a review from me that has spoilers, then just keep on watching. Alright guys, so I am currently filming a 24-hour readathon, which is my first 24-hour readathon. Also, sorry for the glare of my glasses. We've been over this. I'm sorry. I wear glasses. That's that. I'm currently filming a 24-hour readathon right now, and I just finished my first book of this 24-hour readathon, and it was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is the copy of the book that I have. I love this copy. It's just so gorgeous. It's so pretty. And then this is just what the back looks like. I got mine from Ollie's for $2.99, so a steal. But anyway, I just finished this book and it was my first 5 out of 5 star rating for this year. And to me, that's completely mind-blowing. I was fighting back and forth with myself. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to make this a 4.5 rating or a 5 out of 5 star rating. And I decided I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 star rating. And I noticed that Whitney Novels, which I talked in one of my past videos, that Whitney Novels gave this book a 5 out of 5 star rating. And at first I was like, girl, are you sure you did that correctly? But I think I understand why she gave it a 5 out of 5 star rating, and I'm going to discuss that now. And I just want to put a disclaimer out there right now that if I get any information wrong, I apologize. This book had me very confused at parts, and I just kind of want to give my thoughts. This is basically just like a thought process on this book. It's not really a review. I mean, I guess it's a review, but it's also just my thoughts on this book and how I feel about it and how it made me feel. And I want to get off my chest because my mind hurts right now, and I want to be able to read some more books tonight to do this challenge, and I want to be able to move on from this book, so I want to be able to talk about this before I forget everything that happened. So let's get this started. So basically this book was written back in like the 1900s by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and this is a classic book, by the way. If you guys didn't know that, it's a classic. You probably have had to read this for school and dissect all the information that you read, which really sucks because I've heard a lot of people say they didn't like this, and I'm pretty sure it's because they had to dissect all the information that they've read in this book. Me personally, I really enjoyed this book. I was very lost and confused in the beginning, and then towards the end it just kind of all made sense. It kind of just came together like one big cloud of dust. I don't know how to explain it. It just all came together and I understood it, and I was a little less confused, I guess. So basically in the beginning you're meeting all the characters, and one thing that wanted to make me give it a 4.5 rating was that because there were so many characters for you to remember. There was just so many characters for you to remember, and it was kind of very overwhelming. So I was like, ugh, I don't want to read this. There was points where I really struggled. I was reading like a chapter a day and I would just put it down because it was just too much for my brain to handle at one time. Then today I was like, I want to get through this. I'm going to power through this, and I did. And my brain hurts. So it was probably a mistake on my part, but it's whatever. Basically, you're meeting all the characters in the beginning. There's a guy named Nick, and he is kind of like the narrator throughout the story. His neighbor is Jay Gatsby, and basically the book is about the Great Gatsby, which is Jay Gatsby. He's the neighbor that lives next door to him, and I believe they live in New York or Long Island, New York. I think it's that. He's very fascinated by his neighbor. He lives in a gigantic, gorgeous house, and he's been so fascinated by it. Jay Gatsby would throw parties throughout the book. Then he invited him, like he sent over his butler and invited him to come to one of his parties, and that's where we like get introduced to so many other characters. We meet someone named Tom, and that's one of Nick's friends, I guess you could say. They're like close buddies. And then you meet a girl named Daisy, who becomes a very important character in the story, which I didn't realize and didn't see coming. That is Nick's cousin. And then you meet another lady. You meet a lot of women throughout the story, but a lot of them, you'll notice, aren't as important as others. There's another lady that makes her name involved, and that is Jordan. Her and Daisy are like close friends. Just throughout the book, Daisy was trying to set Jordan up with Nick, and there was rumors about Nick being engaged with somebody, but that wasn't true, obviously. And it's just basically, I feel like Nick was kind of like a bystander throughout the story, and that he was just kind of like watching everything happen and unfold in front of his eyes, kind of. And like, I feel like he wasn't an important character, but he was, because he's basically telling the entire story of The Great Gatsby. Basically, the story mainly focuses on Daisy and The Great Gatsby, Jay Gatsby. And I didn't realize that towards the very end of the book. And there's another guy named Wilson and his wife Myrtle, and they make a big like entrance, I guess you want to say, towards the end of the book, and they become very, very important parts of the book. So basically, it's just throughout the book, there's parties being thrown by Jay Gatsby, a lot of friendships being together, and one thing is nobody is very loyal in this book. For one, Nick stays single throughout most of the book, and then him and Jordan end up together. They kind of were like a thing. I could tell Nick was very standoffish by her at some points, and that he really didn't want to be involved with her, and like I felt that. Like I felt that, you know? And like Jordan was kind of a little crazy in my opinion. She just came off very crazy at points. She was a very just carefree, I guess, kind of girl. So I give her that as well. Like, you go girl, do your thing. And Daisy was Nick's cousin, and she was not as big in the story, and then she was married to Tom. I forget how to say his last name. Duchess's, I can't pronounce last names for the life of me. But anyway, Tom and Daisy were together, they're married, and basically the Great Gatsby and Daisy had a thing like 5 years ago, and then they broke it off because the Great Gatsby was very poor and he didn't want to like disappoint Daisy, I guess, and so she moved on and married Tom, and the Great Gatsby and Daisy like rekindle their friendship, I guess, or their relationship, I guess, by the help of Nick. And things happen and it just kind of gets really wild from there. Nick is just like kind of being the helper throughout the entire book, and just a little like input in there. Tom was having like an affair with a woman named Myrtle, and Myrtle is married to Wilson, and Wilson owns like a garage and like we work on cars and stuff like that. Daisy and Jay, the Great Gatsby, like rekindled their relationship that they had before, and it was very secretive. But then towards the ending of the book, Tom was kind of like understanding that there was something there between them, and it just kind of unfolded in a hotel room where Tom just kind of was like,
yo dude, I know y'all together.
Stuff like that. Like, it went down. Nick and Jordan were just standing by, just like, oh shit, it's happening. Like, I was kind of like, oh my god, it's happening. Like, Tom found out that Daisy had a thing with Gatsby, and then he was like, Tom was like unfolding Gatsby's bad past that he had, and apparently he's killed somebody, but they go in depth about how he didn't kill somebody, and how he was supposed to be a rich man, but he lost all of his money to that accident that happened with somebody that died, that he killed them. So he lost all the money to somebody that was a part of that accident. I'm not gonna get into that because it's not really that important in my opinion. Tom and Daisy still stay together, and I understand that because legally they're married, and the Gatsby tries to say that Daisy never loved Nick and that he only loved her, yada yada yada, and Daisy does come to say that she did love the Gatsby instead of Tom, but she did love Tom at the same time. Like, she loved them both, but not like equally. I want to say she loved Gatsby a lot more than Tom, and I'm pretty sure it was very shown in the book. But towards the end of the book, Tom and Daisy, they go to Chicago because at that point Daisy stopped contacting Gatsby and just kind of like, I guess, stayed loyal to her marriage. At that point it wasn't even loyalty. So Nick and Gatsby kind of became close, like very, very close. They were close, very friends in this book. And then towards the end of the book, I think he was kind of getting tired of him. And the one thing that happens is that after they come back from the hotel, everyone's like fueling with anger. Tom told Daisy and Gatsby to go back to New York, and that Jordan and Tom and Nick would all drive back separately, I think. Or yeah. So Tom was driving Gatsby's car and Gatsby was driving Tom's car. I really don't understand the reasoning behind that, but it kind of just smoothly made it perfect transition in the book, gotta say. So on the way back, Daisy was driving, and Myrtle, this is where it comes into Myrtle and Wilson. I'm sorry, this is very confusing. It's like I'm trying to wrap my head around this myself. Myrtle and Wilson, they're planning to move somewhere. So like Wilson's like very sick right now, and he like trapped his wife somewhere in the garage, I think. And then she comes running out of the garage and like screaming, waving her hands in the air, and she runs out to the street, and Daisy's driving down the street and boom, hits Myrtle and kills her instantly. And I was like, what? And guess what? Gatsby took the fall for Daisy because he loved her. He took the fall for her, and Daisy like went back around, and like I don't think Daisy realized what she did. And like it kind of made sense to me that Gatsby didn't really freak out because he was in the war and he would constantly be around death, so he wasn't really too bothered by it, I guess. But Wilson was so heartbroken, and guess what Tom did? He told Wilson, because at this point the cops were wanting to know who did it and what car it was, because there was two cars that were there, it was one car that was going one way and then one car that was going that way, which was Daisy that was driving, and she hit Myrtle and killed her on instant impact. So they wanted to know who did it, and Tom knows who did it because of the car, because they said the yellow car, and Gatsby had a yellow car. And so Gatsby knew that he was going to be in trouble, so he parked his car in his garage. And then Wilson, throughout a good few hours, was sitting with his friend in his garage, just completely heartbroken. And then he went and started searching for this car, and he said he knew he was going to find out who did it. And lo and behold, he went and kept searching, and he ended up at Gatsby's house. And Gatsby was in a swimming pool, just chilling, you know, waiting to hear back from Daisy, but he never was going to. Wilson just took out a gun and shot him, and then shot himself. And I was like, what? And at that point, I didn't catch that he actually killed him. At first, I thought Gatsby killed Wilson, and then I googled it, and I realized that Gatsby got killed by Wilson, and Wilson then killed himself. And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize that. And I was just kind of like, holy shit. So then, throughout the book, Gatsby says his parents are dead. Nick gets the funeral together and then invites his father. And so I guess his parents were dead after all, and that Gatsby was a pretty big liar. Therefore, Gatsby kind of plays a good and a bad person in this book. And I don't know which way I feel about him. I don't know if I really like him anymore, or if I really like him. I really love Nick. I think he was a sweetheart. I feel like he deserved so much better. And then towards the end, him and Jordan broke up, which was good because she was engaged to somebody, apparently, towards the end of the book, and I was like, oh, this sloot. So, yeah. Towards the end of the book, Daisy never comes out, like, never talks. Like, she has to sit with that guilt the rest of her life knowing that she killed Myrtle because she was so angry by Tom in the hotel room with confronting Gatsby and all that stuff. And it's just like, and like Gatsby took the fall for her, and then he ends up dying while she should have been the one that was dying because it was her fault. And like, it's just so crazy to me that there was so much death at the end of the book, just so fast and so quick. And it just all kind of hit boom, 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 and it was just kind of crazy. And then towards the end of the book, like the exact ending of the book, sees Tom on the street, and that's when Tom says that he basically told Wilson who did it, which basically saying that Gatsby did it. But nobody realizes that Gatsby didn't do it and that it was Daisy. And like, Tom is literally still living and married with Daisy while she's the one that literally killed him. But Gatsby took the fall for her. I'm just sorry. It just makes me like, I can't. Like, that it just makes me so angry. And like, I can't believe I actually understood this entire book because I was really afraid that I was going to DNF this book. But I'm really glad that I didn't, and that I continued powering through this because that book was freaking amazing and it was insane. And that was my first classic book that I've ever read. And I want to read more. Like, I want to go pick up Romeo and Juliet. I want to go pick up some other books. Like, leave some comment belows of some other good classics because I want to read some more now. Anyway, I think that's basically like my summary of what happens in this book. Review-wise, I gave it a 5 out of 5 star read. I probably wouldn't read it again just because it was a lot to get through. It was only 180 pages, so I mean, it was kind of really short, but it was just a lot to get through. It took me like 2 days, I think, but it's really not that bad for me. And it definitely would have taken me a lot longer if I didn't have this 24-hour readathon, so pat on the back to me. Yeah, I definitely recommend you guys read this book, at least give it a try if you didn't have to dissect it for school. Even so, I would say give it another try because it's a really freaking mind-blowing book. And like, I never would have thought myself to read this book and then be so mind-blown by it, you know? So it's kind of crazy. But I think that really concludes the ending of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see me do any more like spoiler or non-spoiler book reviews, then please let me know down below in the comments, and give this video a big like and subscribe down below to join the family. And I love you all so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.